How are you doing? I am well, thanks for asking. I'm just here thinking about my life and my past, thinking about why people said things about me like, he's crazy, he's abusive. I'm like, what did I do? Why did these girls? They must have told these guys that showed up and called me those names. And I remembered something I'd forgotten for a long time. I used to cut myself. When I was 17, I had left one foster home. I was working full time as well as school. And at some point, I would have these freakouts in the basement where I was like, why doesn't anyone? I'm funny, people laugh at what I say, like me. They play with my hair and they take my hat. I'm smart. Everybody wants to copy off my stuff. They say that I'm very attractive. On Seems like I have everything going for me. But why don't they give me any respect? Why am I met with people that either want to sexualize me or they just completely ignore me? And I realized that I'd never been hugged as a child. I didn't realize until recently that's why. But I used to go behind, I would work at Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd go into the price chopper bathroom, and I'd buy a new fresh pack of razors, and I would just tear into my arm. Because when I would go to Dunkin' and everyone would see that my arm was bleeding, they would care for me. They would tend to my wounds. They would fix me up, bandage me. I'd even buy the gauze. So they would gauze me up. And I had a girlfriend. But nobody cared about me. Nobody loved me. And that was literally the closest thing I think I've ever gotten, to be honest. But all these girls I dated after we broke up say all these horrible things about me. Like, they even message my girlfriends, like, if I break up with a girl, they would message the girl after them and be like, just letting you know, I never think about Casey at all. Just making sure you're okay. And I was like, the only abuse I ever put women through was that I wasn't happy. I never hit anybody. When I first got out of the retreat, I had a girlfriend that would really fuck with me for fun. She was very attractive, but she was kind of a predator. She was 4 years older than me. Still the best looking girl in her grade. Probably in the whole town at the time. She was messed up in the head. She said that all of her friends were... I had just gotten out of an institution where I wasn't allowed to speak and I wasn't allowed to touch people. I wasn't allowed to speak my mind, or they would take away my food. I wasn't allowed to be upset, or they would put me in a room for weeks, sometimes up to a week to 2 weeks for a care plan. When I got out, started working out, running every day, got myself a job immediately at Price Chopper, and then within a week, the best looking girl in town wanted me. So we went out, and I was really proud. I was socially, emotionally, not cognitively in some ways, but like I was still a genius, but there was some things like I didn't understand about being a human being. Like I didn't understand emotions or relationships, which meant my sex life was great, but there were things that people just treated me like shit. They walked all over me and I didn't understand. They would use me. So she would say things like, because she was my first love, I loved her. And she would say, I have friends in school. If they see you talking to girls, I'm going to break up with you. You're not allowed to look at them. You're not allowed to speak to them unless it's for schoolwork. And if I find out, I'm going to cheat on you. I'm going to go sleep with somebody else immediately. And then she would just, whenever she felt like it, she would go hook up with her ex-boyfriends. She never slept with any new guys, but she would go back to her exes a lot that were her age. So I would freak out then. Like one time, she pulled the "I'm gonna go cheat on you because you don't love me enough" card. And I was so scared of her cheating on me, I fucking took her phone on Thanksgiving and I just bit it in half. I was like, you don't think I love you enough? So I initiated sex. And she wasn't upset about it. It wasn't rape. But it was kind of a really fucked up situation. That was terrible. And then she kind of figured she knew how to push my buttons and she knew I wouldn't leave her. And she was trying to get me to get her pregnant. So, I have trauma of being, if you haven't realized, I have trauma of being locked in rooms, being trapped in relationships, being stuck on the mountain, being trapped in the isolation, being alone with nothing and nobody. So when I had relationships, it would really freak me out. Like I didn't want them to leave. I didn't want to be alone again. I didn't want mommy to abandon me again, basically. But I hate my mom. It was never about my mom. It was like the lack of a mother. It was not the mother I had. It was not having a mother. And then finding relationships where they actually loved me, you know? But of course they all turned out to be super narcissists. Even if they were very attractive, like ex-girlfriends. But one time, she wouldn't take me home, and the trauma, and I wanted to go home, and I was just done with her. I think it was like, she said something like, she went down to visit her ex in Springfield, Massachusetts because he was having a hard night, but she was like, I promise I'm just going to sleep on the floor, and then she sent me a picture of like a bunch of pillows stacked together. She was like, I'm going to sleep on this makeshift thing, and then in spirit I saw them already having sex because I'm a super empath. So I already knew what was happening, and it hurt. Heartbreak, all of that just over and over again. Because when you forgive somebody, it sort of heals your heart and then they break it again. And then after it was done, she lied to me for a long time. And then whenever she would get mad at nothing, she would go, oh, by the way, he stuck his finger in my asshole. And he came in my mouth, and then I came home and made out with you. You know, that was my first love, man. So one time she trapped me. She lived in a trailer with her family. They lived in a trailer park. And one time, I think she wouldn't let me go home or something, or she really didn't want me to leave, and I didn't want to leave, but I wanted to leave, so I got stuck and trapped. And then I punched her in the shoulder once. I just went, stop! It was the first time I'd ever hit anybody other than my dad. That I can remember. I think I actually, like a serious hit, not like a joking one or like I'm messing with somebody. Like a full-on actual, like, get away from me. And it wasn't like that strong. It wasn't like Officer Washburn with that homeless woman. It was just like a stop. It wasn't like a stop. It was just like, get away from me, please. And then afterwards I freaked out for like a half hour. Because of that, her little brother put a gun to my head and a bunch of shit. But it was never as bad as anyone made it out to be. Like, that was literally it. And then later that day I went in and I got really mad and freaked out. And then I took a Pure Leaf iced tea and I whipped it at the ceiling, and then it bounced. This is a true story, for real. It hit the banister on the wall and it hit me directly in the forehead, and I was like, oh, okay. Now I would say that's God. But back then I was like, Yeah, that was. I probably deserved that. I was acting like a baby. I should just leave her and hit the gym. But after that, I was never able to have a good relationship ever again. No matter how much the girls loved me, which only one of them really did, the rest were like lying narcissists that would obviously cheat on me and probably did cheat on me. I think they did cheat on me actually. I know one did. Out of the five. Out of the five, three of them did. It was just because they were young. They knew I was really attractive. They knew I was good in bed. But they knew that mentally, my autism, whatever you would call it, there was something messed up in my way of having relationships because I was a super genius. So they were looking for like drama and TV show fun, and I just wasn't that. I could make jokes and I had a lot of fun and I had friends and I was going on adventures, but I liked being a kid because I never had a childhood. And then they, being the most attractive women probably that I've ever seen, to be honest, like now that I'm older, I think like there are people that come close, but at the time and at our age and the way that I saw the world, I didn't see anyone better looking. So they were flooded with DMs. But they only ever went to their exes. Which was really weird. So I think it was like they found something with their exes, and then my autism was like, no matter how much my good qualities and how much they said I was, literally like they still, now that they think I'm crazy and social stigma has like ruined me, before that, before all the rumors and the trauma and the police lying about me on the news and people making shit up about me for years, they would still really be trying to cheat on everyone after them with me. I was the best they'd ever had, even if they treated me like shit. And that's why I think it's demonic. I think it's of the devil. But that's why I couldn't love them, and I was also fucking 17 years old. That's why I was messed up. My childhood plus my relationships. I had a really fucked up childhood. Of isolation. Neglect. Like pretty much all day I think about like how come all these other people act the way that they act. And I don't know how, like I don't have the same operating system. And when I can like put it on like a mask. I can wear the bionicle mask. And I can be in there with them. I know how they act, but it seems all based around darkness and sin. And I'm not religious, like completely, I don't know. I'm getting closer every day, but and I end up being like way better than these religious people because I just naturally live the way that they strive to live. But everyone calls me crazy, and I'm like, I wasn't crazy, I just shut down because you were a piece of shit. And I realized I never learned what hate was. The first time I learned how to hate was meeting John Treadwell, the judge, who's a Freemason pedophile. After meeting John and meeting the state's attorney and seeing the incompetence in those adults that are supposed to be helping, that were hurting me. After meeting police and meeting like a guy named Gary that tried to steal my girlfriend from me, and eventually I was like, I'm breaking up with her anyway. So I told her like, why don't you just date that guy? Knowing he had a micro penis. So of course after a week she came back. So he blames me for their relationship. But he's a fucking psychopath. He's a nut job. Like, you think I'm crazy. This guy's just as crazy, but he can hold a job. Like, he's crazier than me, but he can hold a job, but he's not intelligent. And he's a bad person. Like, he thrives in deceit. And he needs validation and ego because of his micro penis. Most likely. And he's from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Everyone I've met out of Bridgeport, Connecticut is a fucking crackhead nut job. Like, the weirdest fucking people I've ever met. And by weird, I mean, like, so obsessed with putting on a fake persona in order to bullshit their way into getting likes on Facebook and trying to extend their reach in the community and, like, make themselves more than they really are, thinking that we can't tell they're bullshitting. And then in private, they'll message people privately and just be the most, like, vile, disgusting, mean bullies. Like, there was this one girl that tried to convince me I was schizophrenic only to kill myself. She wanted me to know I'm schizophrenic because she wanted me to kill myself. And I'm talking to her, like, letting her talk, and then her boyfriend would chime in, and they would just both go off at me for hours. Just, like, screaming at me on Snapchat. These 18-year-old kids are screaming at me, all caps, telling me I'm a schizo faggot freak that needs to kill himself. And I was just, like, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I wanted to figure out what was wrong with them, where they were coming from. And it sort of accidentally infected me. And that's what they wanted. They were trying to they kept going so viciously because it was some dark entity controlling them that wanted to get a connection with me. They were trying to drain my energy. And then it turns out they were heavily addicted to a lot of different drugs. It was one of those things where black people from the hood would put them on to sell their drugs, and that convinced them that they were black. So they adopted the culture. So they had extreme cognitive dissonance, and they needed to hurt people in order to validate themselves. So when I started posting that I was living with gang members that were black, that's all it was. They were trying to tear me down to validate themselves. And they did it for 5 years. Threatening to kill me over and over again because I'm a schizo that needs to kill himself, and just talking shit about living in a car. And it turns out they're hooked on it. Liquid heroin, pills, and then calling me schizo for years. Eventually he had a schizophrenic break in his trailer with his girlfriend that was pregnant, and he held her at gunpoint because he believed somebody was in the house sitting right next to him that wasn't there, trying to kill him. I would tell you what that was is you were farming so many people's energy trying to gain the spiritual power that you were jealous of because you're a weak bitch, that the universe gave you it, and when you woke up you were greeted with your karma. So what that probably was a higher dimensional entity pretending to be the guy that ran you over because you threatened him on the internet. He'll never see this. He used to watch. I don't know if he still watches. He's a bitch. What a pussy, bro. But I ended up cheating on a girl that I was her first love. But I didn't do her like my first love did to me. I would just stop talking to her. I would get mad at things like her friends would say that they didn't like me and they wanted her to date this person that was a year older than me named Vincent. And she just wouldn't say anything. I knew she didn't like Vincent. I knew she didn't want Vincent. He was skinny fat, and he had a man bun. And back then I was like, skinny fat with a man bun, that's a fucking bitch. And now I'm like so depressed, stuffing my face and letting my hair grow out. I don't care. But back then I was like bodybuilding, and I cared about appearance. So I was like, that guy doesn't have it. It's chill. But she didn't defend me, and she wouldn't She was kind of autistic, even though she was very beautiful. I didn't want to tell her that I needed her to show me more affection because I can't, I don't understand what it's like to know love. All I know is people that were pretending, that were betraying me behind my back. So I had no way of gauging whether that, like, I didn't want it to happen again. So I wanted her to, like, show that she cared about me more. And she was kind of like a tomboy a little bit. She rode horses. I don't think she like, she definitely could, but I thought that if I had done it, it would be inauthentic. So I was like, how do I get somebody else to tell her that, to, like, speak highly of me and say that I, like, am really wanting that puppy love stuff, but I've been hurt so much and abandoned as a child and stuck in, like, horrible places for years, and I hadn't, like, had an escape from that. I would just, like, keep on trucking, one foster home to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and instead I didn't. And then there was this other girl that was way more flighty. She wouldn't cheat on me, but she'd date me for 2 weeks, and then she would just ghost me and leave for some other guy. And then when she was done with that guy, she would ghost him and come back. And there was like 15 of them, where we'd just be seeing her around town with different guys every day, but we knew she wasn't sleeping with them. We didn't fully know, but we were pretty sure. And I had already cheated on my first love a lot. Not my first love, sorry. The girl, I was her first love. Because I didn't want to be the guy that got cheated on anymore. And women were throwing themselves at me when I was the same age as my first love. The same way that guys were throwing themselves at her. So instead of going back to see the girl I was kind of dating, I was like, fuck it, these girls are here. I don't know why I couldn't love her, but I think I was just scared. And running. That was the worst I ever did. After that, I got with the girl of my dreams. After a suicide attempt, she messaged me and wanted me to hang out with her. I'd already been seeing her on and off for 5 years, but not like dating. And I really loved her. And then, after the car accident, my social status went away, and I was homeless, so I was sort of living at her house while she was going to school. And I think that, mixed with all the attention she was getting from other guys, made her not want to see me. Later, it was funny, the things that she said about me that she didn't like, now that she's older, she was like, fuck. Those are actually the qualities that all these other guys were missing. And it's not like the Sigma stuff. It's nothing to do with like Sigma stuff. And now that she's getting older, whatever, it was just that I grew up in a bunch of different places and picked up a bunch of different cultures. But that also made me kind of weird, because nobody could understand me because I was so different. Later they realized, shit, you were actually like really high functioning, you were very funny, you were very mature, and you were so mature you were able to be immature correctly. We thought you were just like weird. And now that we're older, we were like, fuck, we were retards that did cocaine at 13. and we didn't know any better. Is what I've heard from two different girls. But now that I'm 25 and these girls are 23, they don't want me. They want a guy who has a landscaping company. They want a guy who's making money, and they have kids now. It's crazy. That girl has a kid now. But people are still talking shit online, calling me a schizophrenic woman beating piece of garbage. And I was like, who is telling you this stuff? Are they telling you this stuff? What are they telling you? Because that's not true. One time I got in a fight with this girl because she had cheated on me. And I wanted to get out and walk home because I was like, I don't want to be trapped in the car anymore. So I was like, I'm just going to get out. So I slammed the brakes. She did not have her passenger seat on. We weren't going fast, but she still like smacked her head. I really don't like that. One time she wouldn't leave my house and I picked her up by her legs. I'm just going to, if you don't leave, I'm just going to carry you out of the house. It sucks. That can get kind of abusive, but she also wouldn't leave. And I wasn't trying to like yank her and rip her and pull her hair and shit. I just like, okay, I'm gonna grab you now. And I grabbed her like this, and then I was gonna just put her outside the door and lock it. But she squirmed off and she fell. And she fell onto the bed. But that was still something I didn't like. I think I could have just left the house, but I was having paranoid anxiety attacks every day. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't like it outside. It was scary. It was scary because empathy had gotten spiritually upgraded, and I wasn't doing well with it. Do I have any sauces? Yeah, I do actually. Huh? Sandiz, you're gone for 30 minutes. You're in timeout. Because I can. You're a stupid person. And that's okay. You might be young. Dude, look at chat. Look at how delicious this shit is. Look at this chicken with Baja Chipotle, lemon pepper, and taco seasoning. And I'm about to put sharp cheddar cheese in this bitch. I'm gonna put sharp cheddar cheese on my chicken. Sharp cheddar cheese on my chicken. And I think I'm gonna put it in burritos. And I'm gonna eat it. The chicken was unthawed, and it had been, it's like 30 degrees at night, but it's like 47 degrees during the day. So I don't know if that was enough time. The chicken's been out for 2 days, just sitting out here. So I didn't know if it was bad, so I'm like cooking the shit out of it. And that's what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna watch Queso. The universe really does it the best way. The best way, it was like I never watched a single Queso video in my life. I didn't know what he streamed or what he did. I just knew his name was Queso, and he was now one of the biggest streamers on the platform. I knew he was one of my branches of my KC33 tree. Like Ty Sinat, Kendrick Curry, Kirk Has, Cassius Culpepper, Kansas City Chiefs. and all that. Casey Rocket. And then branches of their tree is Adam Ray, 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 and Ray, and John, and John, and John, and John. And Tony, 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 and Tony. And then Owen. Nate. Brian, Frank are all part of the same tree. So it's crazy. The time that I watch Queso is like the last week before Halloween. I get to watch all of his best videos, and his most popular video is the one where the people travel to Vermont. I think it's fine. I'm just looking for some of this chicken to start getting charred. When it starts looking charred. Like this one. You can't see it. What's up? What's up? No. Let's put some garlic powder. No, some minced onion. It needs minced onion. Gary's here, everybody. Gary Sharp. And Gary means mighty spear. So we have a sharp, mighty spear here. Oh shit, I got crispy onions. Oh fuck! Yeah! I had 2 Olipop sodas left. Two Olipop sodas left. And what was I gonna do? I was gonna get something else. What was I trying to do? I can't remember. I can't remember what I was doing. But I got this right here. I think I'm just gonna get the wraps. Where did I put these goddamn fucking wraps? Right here. Oh, I was getting the crispy onion. I know now, I was getting the crispy onion. Because I'm a genius. And let's put some peanut butter on it, man. Chat, I gotta put the peanut butter on the wrap, man. It's not the same without it, man. And I should probably put some more sauce in the wrap too, once I put the meat. No diddy. Get this glob of peanut butter and spread that shit. It's cold out, so the peanut butter ain't spreading. Chat, why my peanut butter no spread? I ask myself every day. Okay, get this shit on there. Chat, what's your least favorite state? What state do you think has the worst people in it? I'm starting to, like, it's a toss between the pieces of shit in Connecticut and the pieces of shit somewhere, like, the really bad guys out in the South. Somewhere, like, I'm thinking, like, somewhere above Louisiana. I don't think it's Arkansas, but, like, around Arkansas, like, whatever's below Arkansas. I get the vibe that area fucking sucks. Like, people are stupid and prejudiced, and they believe everything they see on the internet, which has caused them to, like, live in complete psychosis, and they attack people that are smart by saying they're in psychosis. Like, you guys must be fucking crazy. And we're like, no, you can't hold more than 3 bits of information in at once. But the people in Connecticut are just these sleazy dirtbags, man. Not all of them, but like Bridgeport, especially like the white people of Bridgeport, like the wealthier Connecticutans, but they live in the city, like the slumlords, those sleazy dudes. I think they kind of take the cake. I think those people ICE should be taking out. But they don't, because those people are very good at living in the system. They're making money. They're doing the Capricorn way of slavery. In Connecticut. In New York City, there's just too many people. And all I see from New York City are the people walking around with the street TikTokers. And those guys seem pretty cool. I don't know. I think my favorite place... I think all people suck, if I'm being honest. I think people just suck. The coolest people are the people that suffered the most injustice and unfairness, because it makes them real. And they treat people better. They have a heart. Which sucks, if that's the way. To have the hand that feeds you beat you. Have Daddy God be an abusive stepfather. Goodbye, everyone. They all left. I probably name dropped exactly where they live. That's a psychic. Look at this fucking burrito. Chat, you've never seen anything like this. And then you... Oh. I actually want it to break apart. Because I'm going to be eating it with a fork. But it's going to be wrapped in the burrito. I'm using my thinking cap today, chat. Where's my goddamn wraps I just had? I just had them, man. My riggedy wraps are right here. Bam. Fuck you. This one will not... Oh, it does need peanut butter, actually. It does require peanut butter to be spread. Spread this shit. Yeshua HaMashiach. Oh! Tennessee's full of assholes. Yeah. I heard that the South is fake kind. And they say that Vermont is cruel on the outside and kind on the inside. And in reality, no, they're not. They are not kind. If they were kind on the inside, what the fuck do they need to be cruel on the outside for? It was just a way to, like, brainwash tourists into being okay with Vermont's being pieces of crap to them. Yodelay-hoo! Okay, I've applied the peanut butter solution. Now we're going to take... Yay! Ow. I left the fork on the heat and now it's burning my finger off. That hurts, man. That hurts. Ow. Scrape it. Ow. No, it's too hot, but fuck it, we're doing it. Okay, we're good. Okay, that's fine. Don't burn my peanut butter. We don't need any more peanut butter, we're fine. Okay, now we're gonna Push this up. Push this up. Push this up. Okay. Now we're not going to do it as tight as we did the last ones. No diddy. Because the last one fell apart. Instead we're going to fold it gently. It puts the peanut butter on the wrap. Or else it eats my crab. Okay. You don't know me. Okay. I didn't do it that tight. There we go. Gently is the way. Okay. Now, last burrito. We're just gonna dump this shit in. Oh, I put the fucking fork back. Ay, 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 ay. Painful. Okay, that's fine. Chad, there's a lot more burrito than I was expecting today. I cooked up 4 chicken breasts. Okay. This one's gonna break apart. There's too much. We're gonna have to use an alternative means of wrapping. We're gonna have to drill wrap this bitch like you have in the gas stations. We're gonna have to pocket wrap it. And then press it down like so. Maybe even spread some peanut butter in between like this so that it sticks together. I'm a genius. Okay. The final wrap. And I don't care if there's not enough chicken or there's too much chicken. Oh, I put the fucking fork back. God, why don't you tell me? You're my co-pilot, Goose. Alright. Let's just dump all this shit in here. Yo, chat. When you grill this chicken like this all day, where it chars the bottom, and you're eating a bunch of charcoal, your poops actually smell like charcoal. And the forest bed smells like you grilled something for a couple days. It's pretty cool. Chat, is charcoal good for your intestines? Is it like a parasite cleanse? Because they try to eat it and they die? I don't know. Find out next time. On Burrito Bowl. Dragon Burrito Z. Okay. Chat, I lost my mind years ago. But it wasn't a developmental disease like schizophrenia. It was just that life got so hard, eventually I couldn't fight anymore. And it wasn't like, oh, bills. It was like trauma over and over again. Consistently getting kidnapped and sexually abused. And having my family turn their back on me because they have diabetes they're dying from fucking eating sugar. And they can't think anymore. They fucking lost their mind. So living in isolation in Section 8, alone, miserable with themselves, somehow I became the black sheep and the bad guy. So they started attacking that guy, they started attacking that character. And now there's a mouse in my house, chat. What the hell? Dude, this thing is falling apart. That's fine. It'll be a burrito bowl. And then we're gonna drizzle this queso. I'm gonna glob this queso in the corners here, so that as I eat my burrito bowl, I can dip it in the dipping sauce. And we're also gonna take this Baja Blast. It's actually Baja Chipotle. I'm gonna put it in here, and we're gonna stuff it into this corner. So I can dip my burrito in that. And now I have a delicious feast. Here, let's look at it. 4 burrito chipotle, Baja Chipotle, that's queso. And then with my fork and knife, I'm gonna cut these burritos up and eat them. And I'm also going to take my soda, as I have an Olipop soda. Who would have thunk? What a crazy coinky dink. What a. And then I'm getting into my nice castle. Whoa! And then inside, whoa, another one. Holy smack. Holy shit. Fuck you. Oh god, okay. Now I crawl in. Destiny awaits. Now we take this. Meow, 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 meow. Chat, met the aliens last night. Does anybody care? It was fucking terrifying. I met the Atlas aliens. They showed up tonight. They showed up last night. They might show up tonight. I don't know what they are. But when I thought about speaking to them, something went, don't. And then they, whatever it was, came into the building. Actually, it couldn't. It tried to, like, project its consciousness. And it kept talking to me. And I was accidentally submitting by, like, retreating and cocooning. And it was trying to attach in a bunch of different ways. And then eventually I just ignored it until I fell asleep. And then I woke up. And then the same monitoring spirit that rapes me every morning showed up and did the same thing it does. Just tons of demonic black energies. Not African, but black, like the color black. And just like keeping me stuck in the sunken place. And then controlling me, trying to control me remotely. Which they do. Which is why my voice is like this. And I talk to people like, you're a feminine guy. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You don't know what they've done to me. But I still get up and continue to shrug forward. Let's eat this first. That kicks. That Baja Chipotle sauce on its own is really strong. Let's try this one first. I'm gonna have to eat this whole shit. Because chicken goes bad after 2 hours. Even cooked chicken goes bad after like 4 hours. Later.